and welcome to Flory Models Daily Live at 5. Here we are on the 30th of August 2017, another month gone, and you know what that means. Obviously then with September, October, the clocks are going to change, we've got the days are drawing in, it's all going to become tight, and it means it's modelling season again. So it's time to put away all the surfboards and all the outdoorsy stuff and get the modelling gear out. It's amazing actually, if you look at us statistically, we lose approximately around about a quarter to a third of viewers during the summer months, and it's funny actually, it tends to be more the American side of things and the sort of warmer countries where obviously you guys have fantastic sort of summer sports and winter sports, and it's amazing how you can actually see it quite clearly. Every year we get this little slump just in the summer, everything's a little bit quiet, everyone does a lot more outdoorsy things, and then as soon as the weather breaks and it starts to get a little bit more chilly evenings, suddenly it zips straight up. And we get to Telford, obviously you've got the UK Nationals, that's the big thing, that tends to be what I call the start of the modelling season, right the way through until the weather breaks in May. Okay, so from that point of view it's quite nice because it's all nice and warm and inside and everything else like that. So anyway, we have been really busy today. We've been down in front here, you can see we've got the F16 on the go. Now this is Have Glass 5. First time I've ever used this paint. I have had a little play with it, to be honest. We played with the engine section down the back here, okay, but we haven't actually done anything proper with it, and I wasn't sure how we were going to weather it, how about to go about it in any shape or form, but what we've actually done is just primed it and gone over the primer, but I've sort of broken it up. You can probably see the patching on here. To be honest, I've knocked it back a little bit because I found it a little bit too strong to start with, but this paint is absolutely fantastic. So actually the way we've done this, we've used the good old-fashioned standard F16 grey. Okay, so this is MRP 39 or FS 36270. That's your standard grey on the nose. Okay, so that actually gives us quite a nice motley type nose on there. And also looking at Have Glass 5 Falcons, they've got this very light ring around the actual nose, and that intake's looking really good down in there now. Okay, so I've done that as well, so it's just the nose and down here. Other things are obviously the pylons and stuff like that, and that's where it all gets a little bit sort of grey in the areas where they are, because different Falcons seem to have different loadouts. Obviously it's quite modern, pylons, things like that, they're totally interchangeable and stuff, so it is a case of like finding what works with this particular one we're doing. Now luckily one of the guys, sorry I've forgotten your name, posted up where I can get the decals for this one with 5th generation, Have Glass on it and all the rest of it, so I've ordered those. They're on their way, or hopefully be on their way quite soon. As soon as they get here, obviously I'll talk about them and everything else like that, but I have to say I am very impressed with it. It's gorgeously smooth. Sorry, that tailplane wasn't fitted. It's gorgeously smooth and everything else. It goes down really well, and being a very thin paint you can just work with it so well, so you can go through little layering techniques and everything. So what I really did was grey right the way over this, light grey as you know, and then all we did was just pop around, and I actually did centres of panels of everything first, then I went back around and did everywhere with a panel line afterwards, and that's why you get this sort of broken up look to it. And it's worked. I know a lot of people, you would maybe use this type of technique if you were black basing and stuff, but it's almost black basing in reverse because we didn't black base. Okay, so everything's coming off of this at the moment, so I have a canopy off. Alright, but underneath you can see we've got quite a nice warm, mottled type look to it and everything else like that. So I think really it's worked exceptionally well. Really looking forward to actually getting this thing mounted up, things like that. Still thinking about different ways of doing it. You know, we've got a couple of options like this. I'm really tempted not to put the engine in, purely because that'll just free up all that room down in there to actually put an acrylic rod, and let's face it, when you look through, and that's the nice thing with this kit, we can see daylight down in there, but obviously we'll be coming in this way in through the back, and we've got all that daylight down in there, so actually we can slip in there a really nice solid rod and go right up if we have to the actual intake section, which is about here. Okay, so that's a really nice way of securing that, and it'll be solid and everything else. So then that way what we're thinking is, we try and do this, normally this slides in the back, you've actually got this bar at the top which goes through here, and then you have this T-bar on this guy at the top where my finger is, that all slides in there. But what I'm thinking of doing, because obviously on this one it is just the outer ring, is for our point of view, because we're going to be coming in with just our acrylic rod, which we will seat in here, if I can get this to go in. Come on, drop in there. A little bit fiddly. Okay, so that's going to go in there. Then this is going to go in. Where's the T bit at the top? This is going to fit in the back there, so we can actually have the acrylic rod completely out of there and then down. So theory is, what will happen, it's going to be in flight, looks like it's taken off, we're going to have the gear semi-retracted as if it's getting everything pulled up, so the gear will be in funny angles and all the rest of it, and it'll be coming up and going right the way through. But as you can see, it's really starting to take shape now. I think we're going to wait now for the decals to turn up. As soon as the decals are in, what we'll do, we'll get it decaled, come in with a little bit more weathering things on there. By that point, perhaps we've got a little bit more references on weathering as well, exactly how we're going to do this one, and then that way we can actually then work on the gear, get that all sorted out and everything else. So really that's about as far as we can go just for the moment on this particular build. But as I said, really I'm enjoying it. It's one of those things where weren't too sure about it and you almost throw yourself into it. If you throw yourself into it, you know, you've got that thing, you can always redo it if you had to, but in some ways it's one of those things, and I'm working my way along, we're spraying it and I'm thinking, yeah, it's too strong, the weathering was well over the top to start with, so we put down a few more layers and a little bit of dusty coats. I've recorded it all, you're going to get all this back end of the week, and then it was a case of, actually I'm really happy with how that turned up, happy with the colour as well, and things. It hasn't had the full have glass effect yet because it still needs the top coat, but I'm going to wait for the decals to turn up for that, and then everything will have that at the same time, so it is nicely sort of based down and got that hint of metallicness to it. But this colour is really nice anyway, because it's actually got quite a hue to it. You know, it's MRP paints, they tend to be quite glossy by nature, but actually I think if you were to go along and do the old trick of sticking down thinners right the way over it, lacquer thinners, and letting them eat in, you end up with absolutely a stunning finish. But generally it's coming along exceptionally well. Okay, up to date as well. As you might know, I've been working really hard finished it at last. The actual group build video, the actual I Must Be a German one, or Fire at Will, that has now been completed. Okay, I have got it here. I will give you a little bit of a sneak peek at the end of the show for it and stuff like that. Basically what I need you to do is just go off and make sure I've got the right photo with the right name. My biggest problem has been right the way through from this, when the photos all disappeared, I've got no idea what it looked like, so I can't even go back and just double check against your post because it's not there anymore. Luckily though, we spoke about it yesterday. If you haven't, go back and watch yesterday's episode. There's the hack now which actually puts all the photos back up where we lost them before and stuff like that. So from that point of view, if you haven't used the hack, you can see all your photos, you can see everybody else's. There's one for Firefox and there's one for Google Chrome. It's a great little bit of kit because then it enabled me to go around and check a few things and also grab a couple of photos I couldn't get before. But I have got everyone's photos now. It has gone up. It is on version 3. Version 1 went up. Somebody pointed out I did it wrong, so I actually fixed that problem, and then somebody pointed out I had the wrong photo, so I've fixed that one. We're on version 3. But if you can pop off, check it, and then tomorrow we'll have the official release of the full thing and everything else like that. But generally, I'm glad it's done. And I will get the main one done by the end of the week, or if not at the weekend, and we can push through with that one. But there's only 25 on that one, so that's like just a couple of hours work to get that sorted, and we'll make our way through. The other thing as well, I know I should know better, but trust me, I'm not used to the Flory effect. It works for everyone else and not us. So me and Matt, obviously yesterday we spoke about a fantastic kit, which is this one, and we offered it up at 60 quid. Quite frankly, our entire stock went out within minutes, and we were left with probably around about 90 of you who would still like them. Okay, so from that point of view, we can't get them at that price. We have tried today, we've gone along, we've spoken to the company who got them before, but we had the last of their stock anyway. So they are available, and we can get them, but unfortunately they are going to be roughly around about 75 quid. Okay, and that is it. And to be honest, we're not making anything on that, but we can get them in at that price. If anybody's interested, please post it up. I've got a thread running down in the P&M models down at the bottom of the forum. Put in there you're interested in it, we can get you them in to order, okay, and that's what we'll do. Again, it's a great kit, and to be honest, it's still, if you're paying full retail on this thing, 100 quid kit anyway. All right, so you're still saving 25 quid on there. Again, we're going to make nothing on it, but it's so much of a good kit, and I intend to build this one probably beginning of next year because I really do like it, and it's a bit of a blast from the past from what we did before, and this video build isn't available on the site anymore, so I'd love to redo it, and especially with the great aftermarket stuff that this kit comes with, and that bit of tin and all the rest of it. And I've even sold this one because I'm good like that, so that one's going out to a member today. Okay, P&M Models, a few of you have asked me about it. Literally, it's just me and Matt. Matt's got a model company, me as well, and things like that. So we sort of joined forces to try and give you guys great deals and all the rest of it. Again, we are a company. We would like to make some money. Clearly not a lot at the moment. But from that point of view, just bear with us. We've got teething problems. We've got things, obviously, banking, setting up the company, and all those things have taken a little bit longer than we thought. And probably we jumped the gun just a little bit by sort of doing this a little bit too early. But we are now up to speed. We're getting them out. The first orders will go out tomorrow. So if you have ordered one and we've sent you an invoice, you've got it. Up today, we have this monster. Now, luckily, these have just come available dirt cheap because the price is dropping on them. If you want one of these, it is, I'm just going to double check before I say it, it's going to be £65 for this one. Delivery is going to be a little bit more because it is a huge box and it does weigh a ton. So UK delivery is going to be £7 on this one, okay? But if you are interested, there's a thread running in the P&M Models one on the forum as well. Go down, click on there, and then you can actually just say, I'm in, put me down for one, and what happens is we will then invoice you, or we'll make contact with you, invoice you, and everything else like that. A lot of you have asked obviously about the cost to America. To be honest, I don't think it's cost effective. This particular kit weighs 1 kilo and it's around about £40 to get it to the US in the cheapest possible way. Okay, if you wanted it a little bit sooner than a week, then you're probably looking at around about 60 quid to get it delivered. Unfortunately, postage is always going to be the problem for non-UK guys, and it's just something we can't get around. You know, postage is what it is, and by the time you know you've got the price of the box, the packaging, and then obviously shipping it, it does lift up the price a little bit more than probably what you can get it locally. So if you can get it locally, get it locally. Don't pay any more than you have to, certainly. But if you do fancy one from us, or you can't get it, or we are still cheaper, then by all means we'll ship it anywhere you like. All right, so from that point of view, grab yourself a bargain. But again, that fallback, I intend to build that. I'm going to be doing that soon. So if you want to build along with me, then obviously grab your kit and we'll do it all together. I quite fancy doing it in the eggplant. I don't know why, but I just like that eggplant colour. And again, using the techniques I've used on this one, I reckon you could model that thing in to make it really, really nice and everything else like that. But again, there's a full review up on the site. Don't forget, go off and have a look at it. It's a huge kit. You get a ton of weapons you're never going to use, but you know, at the end of the day, it is. And I said before, it was completely overpriced, but if we can get it for 65 quid and out to you, then obviously it makes it a lot better than 110, I think it was to start with, which is stupid. I wouldn't pay it. That's it. Simple as that. Right. Okay. So on to the questions we have for today. Okay. Rob says, just a thought following on from what Nigel said yesterday about doing the Phantom comparison. You have a 72nd F4J Phantom 2. How about a comparison between the Matchbox one and maybe a double build for Labor Day, as in the US Navy subjects? It's a good idea, but the old point is a day's build. If I'm building two, it's going to take a day and a half. I've still got to cram it in within a day. And then a lot of people are saying about, you know, other versions of it as well, because obviously Fujami do quite a nice version of it and things like that. So yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see on that one. I have got it. We could get it down for comparison and all the rest of it, but certainly I think, you know, we're trying to make it fun, light-hearted. I don't want to have to be here like a factory knocking out a fleet of Phantoms when we're really going to do it for a bit of a giggle and a bit of a laugh. Okay, Nigel says, hello Phil, can I please buy the Edar Kitty Hawk, assuming that it's got the metal plaque in like the review. Don't know where you have to order. Right, okay, so don't forget, like we said before, this won't go on forever, by the way. As soon as we sort out our page, we're going to have a page on the Flory Models site. You can go in and click buy, and it'll be like a little store like you do for everything else we do, all right? But yeah, literally at the moment, just stand in the forum, put your name down in there, and we can see if we can sort you one out. But unfortunately, the original stock we had just went within minutes of us having them. We just didn't realise we would sell that many, if I'm honest. Okay. I know what you meant, no problem. Okay, so Simon says, oh right, okay, so yesterday we were talking about, I don't know if you remember, but we were actually talking about that UB 2-seat MiG-29 and everything else. And then as Simon's pointed out, that Poland uses the MiG-29M UB, where it's the modernised, so it's the 912 variant. Best A version that can be converted to an M is going to be the Great Wall Hobbies, which is what we were saying anyway. The idea of make a B, yeah, so you can do it from that one, and apparently the decals are great as well. So good information on that one. That's the one we were talking about. Great markings on that, wasn't it? Okay, so Craig says, not a hobby question. Can you tell me what your daylight saving finish is? Crikey, now you're asking. End of October, I think. Yeah, I'm sure it is. Yeah, end of October daylight saving changes. I will change it and all the rest of it, so don't panic. Plus, I got hold of the tape holder yesterday. It's the best thing I've bought because I'm not looking for my tape. Cheers. He means one of these, which are absolutely great. I must admit, I use this with the 40mm on there positively all the time at the moment with some of the other projects I'm doing behind the scenes, and it's great because you just pull it off and do it, and I am saving so much tape without having to fiddle around with it trying to get the edges off. Okay, Mark says, hi Phil, have you seen the perfect grade Millennium Falcon? If so, are you planning on building it? I have one on pre-order. I think it comes out in September, so it should be out next couple of weeks, and I did it. A lot of people have said it's overpriced and all the rest of it. Don't forget, it's the same price as the Black Edition Millennium Falcon, which is the old Fine Molds one, 72nd scale, and I can guarantee that the Bandai one will be better than that. I have both, so it'll be interesting doing a side-by-side comparison and things like that. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but the hype around it at the moment is that apparently Bandai, a lot of the Millennium Falcon surface detail was from Bandai kits, and what Bandai did, they went back through their archives to match the original parts that were scratch built to build the Millennium Falcon. They've gone back and found the original parts and then have had those made to go on to this one. So it's like the original parts going in, which I find absolutely incredible, that they would go to that level of detail, but apparently they have. But they said it's around about 275 quid, that kit. It's not cheap, and it's going to cost me another probably 25-30 quid to get it here as well. So but it is, I think, one of those once in a lifetime things. As I said, I have got one on pre-order. I'm assured I'm on the list, so hopefully it will turn up. I know they're going to be pretty sought after to start with, and then hopefully they become a little bit more readily available. Watch this space, but I don't think I'll be doing it by Christmas, if you know what I mean. Okay, now to be honest, I did read Steve's question before, so I'm going to paraphrase it a bit because it's a little bit lengthy. As you can see down here, he's got the 132nd F-15 cockpit, and what he's actually got is the trouble because the rear part has a centre seam in it, but the front part doesn't. So what he's done is sanded it out. Now he used the green sander, green cord fine sander to start with, and then he's come back along with the other sanders like the blue one, but he's still got down in here, I don't know how well we can see it, but he's still saying he's got minor scratches down in there, okay, which I must admit I can't really see them too much, perhaps some very fine ones down the back end there, as you can see. And he's tried polishing it out and all the bits and pieces, and he's used the new green one, and he's wondering if there's a way to do it. Okay, secret is, especially when you're sanding, do not push down. Okay, just literally use the weight of the sander very lightly to go off, because what happens is if you put any type of pressure down, you actually dig deeper than you need to physically go. All right, now this is something I've been preaching on about for absolute ages now, but if you look at any of my sanding videos, I always say, and we're like when we did this guy as well, you just literally hold it, okay, and just let the sander do the work, because as soon as you put a little bit of pressure, you're digging too far down. What you need to do in that particular photo you've got here, you can see it down at the bottom there, this area down in here, we can zoom right in as we can, you can see the lines running across it. All right, so from that point of view, it's just because you've overdone it a little bit. What you want to do is go back in with perhaps the blue sponge and just lightly sand away at that until those have gone. Okay, so don't forget, when you're doing any type of sanding, what you do is the first one you use is what does the work. Okay, so for instance, if you were coming in on this canopy here and you were using, let me just move some of this out of the way, you're coming in, you're starting off with the green one. All right, so you've got it down in here. All right, so I'll redo this one so we can see it again. Okay, so if you push down, you're going to scratch too far, so just let the weight of the sander run over the top. Okay, so you don't overdo it at all. All right, so that's it. Okay, so that's the one in there, and then what you want to do is you come in with, like, you know, we got down here a sponge, and then all you're doing with this sponge is taking out what you did before. So now you're just repairing. This isn't going to do anything apart from repair the damage you've caused. So here we're just trying to get rid of the actual scratches that were caused by the previous sander. That's all it is. All right, so you want to make sure those have all gone. Okay, so then if you've got all of those out, then you can whip in here. We've got the green one, the green and white. So what you're trying to do now is get rid of the scratches that you've just caused with the blue sponge. So this guy you're just going to run across, and again you don't want to be pushing down on this. I'm just holding it with my finger, okay, but I'm not actually putting any weight down or pushing hard down or anything else like that. Okay, so when you've done that, what you've done, you've just now hopefully got rid of all the scratches, and you don't want to see any scratches down in there. So then when you come in with the white side like this, now you're trying to repair the damage you just did with the green side with the white side. Okay, so now you can just come across, and you're just going to keep going at it until all of the damage you've caused by the previous layers is all gone and out the way. Okay, so that way you just keep going over it, and squeaking's a good thing. As I always say, squeaking means it's highly polished. Okay, it's got plenty of grip, it's not going to go anywhere. Okay, and again, this is just a quick job down on there. You can see it's probably a little bit cloudy still, needs a little bit more work down in there. But what you can do, you can come along and say, got the big old blue one here, just to speed this up a little bit. Okay, so you actually end up with no scratching down in there. That's the point to it. Okay, so you're just taking out with every layer. I've got some scratches on the side there that still need to be taken out. Okay, but that's all you're trying to do, is just with each level just take out the damage that you've done before. Okay, so we're just going to whip round here with this one. Okay, let me just come up with this one. And then really it's just a case of getting in there, polishing and doing whatever it takes to repair the damage you did before. Okay, but as I say, there's no scratches actually in there or anything else like that. Okay, so it is just that thing of going through the different layers and levels and then doing it. Then I know you're saying it's really big, because he says about the trouble that he's got is that he can't physically, sorry, wrong camera, he can't physically dip it because it's too big. What you can do though is obviously decant your bottle of, because he's using Goozy, which is, I assume you've got this one. Obviously it doesn't fit. What you can do though is tip this into something else that does, and then you can just pour it over and put it around there, and then you can take this off and put it down to one side. Don't forget, you can also brush paint this as well right over the actual canopy. All right, so if you wanted to, I'll take my knife in my hand here because I don't usually use this stuff, but for instance this won't fit in here either. So what we do is you can come in, place one end. Is this gone funny or is it me? Okay, so when you got one end in, okay, we're just going to grip the back. Then we can dip the back half in. Okay, and then what we'll do, we're just going to put it on there, and then we're just going to double dip in the front again. Okay, so making sure you've got no lumps, bumps, bubbles and various things on here. If we just do that one, there we go, you can see me both ways. Okay, so then it sits in there. Then what you want to do, you take this, you put it out of the way somewhere where it's nice and secure and all the rest of it, cover it. Okay, so you don't want to do anything else with that one. Sorry, what was going on here? There we go. Ooh. There we go. Sorry, making sure it's right. Okay, and you can do it literally like that. But what you could do with this stuff is to actually decant it and then put it into something and then tip it back in here afterwards. Okay, but that is now, if we just go like that, okay, that's here drying, and we'll do its bit, and if we've got time at the end of the show we'll have a look at it and see how it's getting on. If not, I'll put it on tomorrow's show. But dipping is just that thing, it final coat, it polishes everything up, it's really, really nice. The other thing I do suggest is though, if you want to dip it afterwards. paint the framework and all the rest of it, and then paint it afterwards. And what you can do is you can go along with the flat coat if you wanted to, and either sand flat it, which is the way I'd do it, or you could hand paint in the flat coat just in those areas of the framework to dull that down just a little bit, so it doesn't look like a mirror or anything else like that. But that is on there drying very nicely. We'll see how that gets on a little bit later. Okay, there we go. That's the quick tip and everything for today. Okay, so where are we? Next page. Okay, and right, so Christopher says, hi Phil, just about to finish my 132nd P51 with the blue nose invasion stripes. When I've removed the masking tape, some residue remains. I've tried to remove the tape, but didn't work as well. Tried it with soapy water and you've still got the residue on there. Any ideas on removing it without damaging the paintwork of the aircraft and painting it with AK metals and Tamiya? PS, looking forward to the hab glass and the F-16. Okay, there's a couple of things. It's really annoying when that happens. It goes down, you take it off and you've just got a little bit on there. Okay, what everybody does to start with is try and rub it with your finger, and all that happens is the dirt from your finger sticks to it, it loses its stickiness then, and then is a right nightmare to get off. What you can use is a little bit of blue tack, okay, and you can lightly rub at it. What happens is that then the glue hopefully will roll up on itself and then comes away, okay, and it just gets rid of it. Things you don't want to do with it though is definitely don't come near it with like a debonder or a glue eating product, because otherwise it'll probably eat your paintwork as well, especially if you've used AK stuff, because AK tends to be like an enamel stuff and it tends to be quite doesn't like hot products at all. All right, so what I would suggest though is to use a little bit of blue tack, okay, and then just rub the blue tack over it. You can then get it to roll up on itself, and then you can actually get it out of the way just like that, and then you can literally just rub, keep going at it very, very gently, and it goes. The other way you can do it is actually with a rubber. You get like a rubber glove, you can rub it like that, but what you do is you just roll it onto itself and let it come away. The thing is, if you start using products like trying to sand it off and everything else, you're just going to damage the surface of your model and all the rest of it. It's a right pain. It takes a little bit of time. You can do it that way. If you want to, you can use a little bit of acrylic airbrush cleaner, but again, depending what you've got down there, you're saying you've got Tamiya paint, it will eat into that, so you don't want to be rubbing at it with anything harsh or anything. So I would personally try the blue tack trick first, then you can try just a rubber and just rubbing lightly over it. As soon as it starts to roll up on itself, you can then just roll it away, and it tends to come away quite nicely. It's just that thing of initially getting it going and doing it like that. But again, canopies, stuff like that, I use the old blue tack trick and just rub it, and then it rolls up on itself, and normally you can get most of it out of the way with no problem at all. Okay, right now we've got a problem because we can't see. Do you remember these? I don't have these on my main screen, but I've got them down in here. So anyway, it says, hi Phil, this is my third try of no luck. Do you remember the old Hawk kits from the 1970s? They're the one with the chrome metallic look. Started to think the one-day build and the flash. Now, I have seen this. I know we haven't got the photos here or anything else, but he showed me. I've seen it on the other screen, and there's a huge amount of flash on that one. And I think literally old mold syndrome. They didn't go together well, and it just squashed out. It's like the burring between the two layers of the mold, and it has just come out, and it's covered all the parts. I have known kits in the past like that that actually are that bad, and they are truly horrible. Okay, William says, hi Phil, after one of the Warhawks, again we've spoken about that earlier, go off and have a look down in the forum. Regards to Warhawk, I along with a number of other members have requested one of these kits in the members area. Is there a correct place? Yep, down in the bottom guys. Lauren says, first question, how do you keep styrene filler from getting rock hard in the bottle? Adding a drop of cement once in a while. I remember you were working on some kind of formula. Okay, first off, yes, mine do it as well. Was this the one we had the other day? Yeah, this is pretty thick and gloopy down in here. What I tend to do every now and again, I just take a couple of drops, get a pipette from one of the glues that I'm using and just drop it in there, and away you go. To be honest, the one we worked on, which was the one we were going to sell originally, it was a bit better because it had a proper cap on it and all the rest of it. But again, that hasn't come to fruition. So if you wanted to do the cheapskate way of it, that's the way you would do. Just add a couple of drops in there, and then you don't even have to shake it or anything. It will just absorb down, it will sink down into it, and it will soften everything up. If it goes completely rock hard, then I probably would make a new batch. Than rather trying to retrieve it, because when it totally dries out, it goes, the molecular structure tends to change a little bit and it goes a little bit funny. But again, all you do when it gets a bit thick and it's too thick to use, I do a couple of drops, literally 2 drops in there, leave it, give it a shake a couple of hours later once it's soaked in, see what it's like. If you think it needs a little bit more, just add a few more drops to it. You're only talking drops after all, you're not going to need many, and you'll get it back into a more fluid state, which is easier to use. But sometimes it's nice to have different types of them. I've got 2 on the go here. We've got this one here, which is nice and runny, and I've got that one that you saw, which is really, really thick. So that way, the thick ones are used for big jobs, you know, stuff, carrying gaps and all stuff. And if you remember, we used it down in here, camera locks in. We had a gap running all the way down in here, so we just put it in there and left it completely alone. And then we had the same trouble, if you remember in the build, down under this one as well. So that's all we did, we just left it in there. We had a gap between the 2, so again that took care of that with no problems whatsoever. Okay, and now when you look at it, we are completely seam free with no trouble. So again, it definitely has its place. It's handy stuff to have lying around for doing that type of work. Second question, anytime soon a kinetic 133 would be offered by P&M Models? Yeah, that's a standard stock item. We can get hold of those. That's not a problem. If you want one of those, post it down in the P&M Models area in the forum, and then one of us will get back to you with the price of what they are and how soon we can get them. But to be honest, we got some of those the other day, so they are in stock. We can get those. That's not a problem whatsoever. Okay, so you look, I've got too many levers. Okay, Robert says, hi Phil, I've been having a problem with the main site that has endured. But it's starting to bug me. Since you changed it, don't forget I didn't change the main site, we just made it look different. I haven't changed any settings on the main site. But since you changed it, I'm glad that you did. I have to write my user password every time I log in. Yes, I've checked the say where it says remind me, but it does not work. I have other computers for my job which are Windows 8 and it works on that, but my home computer is Windows 10, but it was working before you had the upgrade to the site. Don't forget, we didn't upgrade the main site, we only upgraded the forum. I've googled the problem and it has no joy. Okay, I can tell you what this is. This will be a cookie problem. If you don't have cookies that are saved and enabled and all the rest of it, it can't remember you to log you in automatically, because what it does, it basically just checks who you are. It does an interrogation thing, but if you've cleared your history and stuff, it doesn't know you. So if you've got a setting which then blocks everything, like a lot of people have, it will also block the way that the system interrogates you to know who you are. Technically, it should just let you through, no problem. I've never signed in at all on any of my systems because it just lets you through. And I know some people have had the problem in the past because they've had block-up poppers and things like that, and it won't let you do anything. And that's because it's trying to ask you questions or interrogate you, and it can't because everything's blocked. A lot of people blame the site, but it's because of those types of scenarios. So if you've got an IP blocker, especially will kill it. It won't even allow you in if you've got an IP blocker, because it has to it basically interrogates who you are and make sure you're in the rough locations where you should be, so you don't give your password and everything out to other people. That's all it's doing. If you're finding it's doing it a lot, it may be that it's getting confused where you are. So if you've got like an IP blocker and things, that every time you log on it gives you a different IP address and stuff, then what can happen is the system just doesn't know where you are, so that means it makes you log in every single time. But again, let me know how you get on with it, and then I will sort it out. But as for that's literally just for the forum stuff. The main site, we haven't changed any of the guts of it whatsoever in absolute years. It just had a facelift. I just created some new pages and things, but from a work point of view, nothing changes at all. Can I purchase one of them? We've done that one. Just have a look down in there, guys. Did a bit of catch up with your videos yesterday. Congratulations on the new features. I love the new format of the videos, and about the new PM model stuff. I would like to find 2 things if possible from you and Matt. RP Tools Punch and Die and Rosie the Riveter. Okay, to be honest, go off and see Merrick for Rosie the Riveter. I said before, I'm not going to tread on companies' toes. That's not what we're here to do. We're not here to take over the world and just make products and all the rest of it. We're just doing our little bit. But if you see Merrick at hmhobbies.co.uk, great guy. Him and Hannah will sort you out every time. They will do all of those things for you, okay? Okay. Steve says, evening boss, well I think yesterday should be called the Great Big War Bum Fight. Nothing like a bargain to get people going. A quick question, have you any tips on how to recreate a galvanized steel effect? Everything I've tried just looks like painted silver. Cheers, Steve. Yeah, tricky one, because when you're dealing with metals and trying to weather them, what I would suggest is, though, to go for a galvanized steel look is find a steel that gives you a nice sort of dull finish to start with, okay? Actually, AK Extreme Metal stuff's quite good. Their steel, I quite like that. It's got a nice blue galvanized tint to it. And then what you want to do is go over it with other shades. So you're just breaking it up, okay? Because the trouble galvanized sort of steel, it doesn't be one color is all one color. You could even do things like, you know, a salt chipping technique and then spray another color over the top so it has that thing of it showing through to have that sort of galvanized look. Or definitely that type of thing, because obviously with galvanized stuff, it's multicolored. If I was to do it and I wanted sheet corrugated steel type of things like that, chances are I would probably go in with a nice bright color to start with, and then I would probably put salt chipping technique right over it. So moisten it very lightly, stick a load of rock salt over it, and then I would blow over it with a bluer shade of metal, one of the other metal hues in there, things like that, and then wipe it all away, see what you've got, and then you can come in with other shades, or just lightly put a silver over the top to mute it all down to make it look like sheet steel and things like that. But galvanized stuff is particularly difficult because from a scale point of view it is pretty tough to try and recreate, I'll be honest with you. And there we go, that is about it. Thank you very much. Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit of a sneak peek with you. Okay, so I don't know if this is going to work because I haven't tried it yet. Okay, but hopefully what happened is I'm going to leave you with just the first couple of minutes, and then, as I say, tomorrow we'll leave you with a little bit more from the sort of upcoming I Must Be German group build reveal video like that. So till tomorrow guys, happy modelling, take care, and hopefully enjoy.